If you've been around the internet much lately, you've probably heard the term trust recession. And that's something that's been thrown around quite a bit lately to talk about the fact that trust is really at an all-time low. That's trust in institutions, trust in experts, trust in online voices. It's becoming harder and harder to trust what we hear. Now, part of that is due to the rise in AI, but that's not what it all is. It's also from people getting burned in the past by maybe online creators who sold them something that didn't live up to the hype, or coaches out there selling $10,000, $20,000 masterminds that ultimately didn't actually move you any closer to your goal. So the question then becomes, how do you tell the difference? And so the purpose of this video here today is to tell you a little bit more about my business, what I do, what I believe, and what the things are that I will never do. And that's because I'm not going to ask you to trust me. I want to show you what my commitment is so that you understand who I am and why I do what I do. Now, since I started this business, I had a list of core values, and those are things that my team is aware of as well. And two of those are authenticity and servant leadership. And the thing about missions and core values is it can quickly become just buzzwords. And it's really important to me in this business that that is not the case. We really want to live this out. We want to actually be authentic. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what that means to us. Now, before we get into the stands that I take in this business and also the things that I will never do, I want to talk about who I am, because I do think that qualifications, especially in this world, are really important. If you're going to listen to financial education, I want you to know that I am legit and I have the qualifications to back it up. And my qualifications come from both the designations and the education that I have, as well as the experience that I have in both the corporate world and as an entrepreneur myself. So starting with those qualifications, I am a certified public accountant. I have my bachelor's in analytical finance and my master's in accounting, both from Wake Forest University. And when looking back at my corporate background, I started working for one of the big four accounting firms back when I graduated college, Ernst & Young. And at Ernst & Young, I spent years on corporate audits in various different industries before moving and making a home for myself at Coca-Cola Enterprises, which then became Coca-Cola European Partners. It changed names about 3 times since I worked there. And I spent 10 years in this Coca-Cola bottling system, rising through the ranks. And my final job was Associate Director of Financial Reporting and Technical Accounting, which ultimately is just a fancy way to say I was in charge of the financial statements that were put out from the company. So in that role, I worked at the corporate headquarters, and I was in charge of any new accounting pronouncements that came out from the various governing bodies and making sure that we were doing things correctly. And then also rolling up all of the activity of the business into our financial statements that we would release each and every quarter. And part of what I did was also to understand and really write the story in a way that investors could understand what was happening within the company. And I spent about a decade there, and in that time, I got to travel the world, meet with top executives, see some really neat things, and understand how a Fortune 500 company truly operates. But not only that, I also run my own small business, and I have for the last going on 8 years now. And I've grown that business steadily over time. I've hired employees. I've done all of the things that most small businesses do as they grow. So not only can I speak to all the things that I teach from the standpoint of somebody who has the education in the topic, I also can speak to it as a business owner myself. So without further ado, I want to talk about the things that I will stand on my soapbox about. So if you want to know more about what I believe, these are those things. So the first stand that I take firmly is that financial information should not be gatekept. I stand for the radical idea that you should understand your numbers and have access to information to help you do that without having to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for a professional. Now, this is something that I actually get a little bit of industry flack for. The fact that I have a YouTube channel that talks about various different pieces of financial education, not everybody in my industry likes that. And that's because there is a common belief, especially in the more old school version of CPAs and accountants, I love y'all, but I know you well, that believe that you should get all of your financial information and help from an accountant that you are paying routinely. The idea of being able to Google something or go to the internet and ask questions is something they are vehemently against. And while I understand the concern there, and I do hope that most people have a professional they can ask questions to, I also know that for most true small businesses that are growing, that isn't really realistic. And especially in a world where accountants are getting more and more expensive and are making it harder and harder to actually talk to a real person about your struggles, I think it's really important that people have the ability to go look things up for themselves. And so that's why I created this. I actually created this channel back during 2020 because people were really struggling and their accountants didn't have the help that they needed. Their accountants didn't know about the new PPP programs or the ERTC credit or any of the new relief programs that were rolling out. And so I made content literally almost every day at that point in order to help people navigate the situation. And so I know that it's not realistic for people to always have a trusted person to go to give them the right answers. And I will also say that sometimes even professionals will give you wrong or outdated information. I see it all the time. And so to combat that, I think it's really important for people to be taking in their own information. And that's because if the IRS comes a knocking and asking you questions, right, even if, let's say, your accountant told you you could deduct something, it doesn't necessarily mean that the IRS is going to allow it. And at the end of the day, it's on you and not your accountant when something like that happens. So we need to be aware, right? We need to have our own awareness. You don't need to know the entire tax code, but you need someplace to go to at least know what questions to ask. So that, in a nutshell, is why I have this channel. All right, now moving on to stand number 2 that I truly believe in, and that is that profit is the goal, not just tax avoidance. Okay, that is underpinning everything that I teach on this channel. Yes, I will teach you how to reduce your taxes. However, we do not want the tail to wag the dog. We are not going to take deductions and spend money on things that don't really provide a return on investment just to get the tax savings. That is essentially like taking a lower paying job just so you don't have to pay as much in taxes. And that makes no sense. So we're not going to do that here. Here I'm going to teach you how to have a thriving and profitable business, and then how to use some tax mitigation strategies that are on the up and up in order to reduce the amount of taxes that you legally have to pay. I'm not going to teach you sketchy loopholes. I'm not going to give you bad advice. I'm always going to give you measured advice, and I'm going to try to put as much context as I possibly can in there as well, while still making it digestible and understandable. My goal is to see more profitable, thriving small businesses, and ones that can actually reliably pay good money to the people that are running those small businesses. And that is where I think you actually find freedom in business. Now, the third stand I will make, i.e. the third hill I will die on, is that every business is unique and that your strategy should be too. Now, what I mean by that is there are tons of these out of the box, books that you might read or various methodologies and systems that tell you it'll fix everything from a financial perspective for you if you just follow this one thing. Well, let me tell you, you've probably tried it, right? And did it work? Maybe not. So then what? Right? Then you start thinking, well, maybe the problem is me, but that is not the problem. Everyone is different. Everyone has different businesses. Everyone's brain works a little bit different. Everybody has a different set of, past experiences to be drawing from that are influencing the decisions that they make today. We are not robots. Thank the Lord. So the idea that there is some one size fits all thing that's going to fix all the problems, as nice as it might be to think about, it isn't realistic in practice. And I think it actually leads to people wondering if something's wrong with them, if a system that's supposed to work for everybody and worked for someone else they know didn't work for them. So part of what I really want to do on this channel is get you thinking about yourself and aware of some of the things and ways and patterns in which you've used money in the past. So we have things like our money personality test and our profit plan diagnostic to help you see where you specifically are on the path to financial fitness, and then help give you personalized recommendations for what you need to do next. And that's the exact same reason that when I recommend tools for you to use in your business, I rarely recommend just one one, right? Because not everybody has the same needs. So I typically like to compare and contrast, say, multiple payroll systems or multiple accounting systems, depending on what you specifically need. So you won't get cookie cutter advice on this channel. I want to help you understand your needs more and then provide you solutions that will actually work for you. Now, moving on to the last stand I wanted to talk about, and this one probably comes more from my idealistic side. And that is the belief that when small businesses profit, the world gets better. I fully and wholeheartedly believe that money is a tool. I do not think money is good or evil, right? I think that it is a tool that can be used for either. And that's why I'm so passionate about getting more money in the hands of people that will do good with it. There are so many statistics that talk about how small businesses, and particularly women small business owners, have an impact in their community through the money that they make. Small businesses hire people, they invest in their communities, they do good things for the people around them. They provide really important resources for people. And they're really the backbone of our entire economy. And I think thriving small businesses make it so that we all can be lifted up and thrive together. And so when I talk about the fact that I help businesses become more profitable, I'm not trying to teach you how to become Jeff Bezos and build a rocket ship to the moon. Please sense the sarcasm behind that. Because I know that for most small businesses, that's not the goal. We're not wanting yachts and Lamborghinis, right? We're wanting freedom, the ability to spend time with our family, the ability to travel, to really have a life that we love and allows us to be present and also to help people. And yes, having more profit means more of that abundance, more of that goodness that you can then share around. And ultimately, this is the mission underneath everything that I do. Okay, quick pause here because I know we've covered a lot and I'm about to start talking about the 4 things I commit that I will never do in this business. But before we move on, I want you to know about our profit path diagnostic. Like I said, I do not believe in one size fits all advice. I don't think everybody's starting in the same place, and so I will not recommend the same things for everyone. But that presents a little bit of a challenge for me as a content creator. So what I've done is created a diagnostic for you. It is totally free. You can go see it with the link that is currently on your screen or the QR code. And ultimately, you're going to take this profit path diagnostic. It takes less than, say, 90 seconds, and you're going to get a full color multi-page PDF report with exactly where you are on your financial journey, what you need to focus on next, and really specific recommendations made just for you based on the answers to the diagnostic quiz. So if you have not done that yet, definitely check out jamietrull.com/profit path. Okay, now here is where I start to put the flag into the ground. These are the 4 things that I commit to you that I will never do. Number 1, I will never give you advice in 60-second clips that need more nuance. I will not reduce real financial strategy to just a soundbite. I will always have a longer video that explains the nuance behind something. And that's really difficult because I know that if I made tiny little TikTok videos about tax strategies, it would probably go viral and it would also not actually be really helping people. We'd be missing so much context and nuance that it could actually even get people into trouble. And that's what I see all over the internet today. And it's why I focus primarily on long form content like these videos. Now, yes, sometimes I chop these videos up and we'll put them in different places with the goal of getting people to come back and watch the full video so that they understand all the nuance and context. Now, I know that can get frustrating because there's a lot of it depends answers, and I do try to boil it down to the things that are most important to you. However, I think it's really important to know that these different nuances exist. And I know we love quick and easy and simple answers, but the tax code is not quick, easy, or simple. So while I will simplify things as much as I possibly can, maybe I will take a multi-hour topic and turn it into a 20-minute video. I cannot turn that multi-hour topic into a 30-second reel. And I think that that's okay. Now, the second thing that I will never do is I will never shame you for not knowing this already. When I teach finances, I know that people are at all various different places, and we've all been there before, right? And I think that most people feel like their specific situation is one of the worst that I would have ever seen. And let me tell you, that is absolutely not the case. You are more normal than you know. And I think there's something empowering in knowing that, because I truly believe like shame is not going to inspire real, true, long-lasting change. It might inspire a little bit of incremental change, but ultimately you always end up back in old patterns. However, when you can really be comfortable and say, you know what? I have accepted the things I've done in the past and I'm going to move forward, that's a different type of energy. And I know there are lots of different financial gurus out there who are a little more tough love in their approach, as they call it. I call it shame-based. I do not think anything positive comes from that. While we do need to be honest with ourselves in mistakes that we have made in the past, ultimately we want to move forward from a understanding and loving place and self-acceptance. That's what I've seen work much better than from a place of shame and guilt. We are all normal. We are all human. We all make mistakes. We need to forgive that and we need to move forward. So wherever you are in your journey, I welcome you in. I truly believe there are no dumb questions. I want you to ask me, and I want you to spend some time learning those things so that you can feel more confident. Now, the third thing that I commit to you, and this one is a big one, I will never sell you something you don't need. And that for me is really important. I teach people how to be responsible with their money. What would it mean if I was irresponsible with yours? And along with that, I also commit to never overcharging you for something. I always want to be providing so much more value than what that price shows. And I make lots of free information. For a lot of you, this may be what you need, just the free information that exists on my YouTube channel. But in addition to that, I have very low cost products that cost under $50, various different templates that you can use that can really help you in your business finances and to stay organized, but they don't cost an arm and a leg. And even my more comprehensive toolkits and programs are still extremely reasonably priced because I believe that's part of my mission. If I want to provide real small business owners with accessible financial tools, they really need to be accessible. They cannot be thousands of dollars that therefore puts them out of the realm of possibility for the people that need it. And that's another thing that I've gotten some pushback on because I don't have a high ticket offer. And a lot of people in my industry would say that I'm missing out on opportunities. But what I say about that is the people that I am passionate about serving, I price for you. My sweet spot, the people that I love making content for, typically make between $50,000 and $500,000 in revenue. And for those people, every dollar matters. So it's important that I am really responsible with your money as well. And the fourth thing that I will never do relates back to trust. I will never ask you to just take my word for it. Like I said, I believe actions are much stronger than just words. And that's why the things that I'm talking about here today are actually implemented in how I run my business. Because we believe so strongly in transparency and trust, we recently just rolled out a 90-day no questions asked return policy. That means for any of our digital products, you can ask for a refund for the first 90 days with absolutely no questions asked. You don't have to jump through hoops, tell us any information about what you've implemented or not. Just ask us for the refund and that's it. And that's really the opposite direction that so many people in business are going. But to me, if we really stand behind our products, that's something that's an obvious thing, right? And another way that we try to demonstrate this is we don't just talk about how small businesses can change the world with our money. We actually make a commitment to live it out, which is why 10% of the profits from this company go towards charitable causes that we care about. You can find more information about different causes we've given to in the past on our website, but this is something near and dear. I really want the money that we make in this business to actually be able to make greater change. I really think that there is a ripple effect that happens when we do good as small businesses and help people, but then also when we use the money that we make to pour back into our communities. And so we really want to live that out and show you what that looks like. And the other part of trust is authenticity. We want to be authentic. I'm never going to recommend something to you that isn't right for you. And that includes various different tools that I might partner with, right? We purposely do not do exclusive deals with any partners. And the reason for that is because we know not every solution is right for everyone. And we don't want to be required to push a solution when we don't think it's the best thing for someone. That is why we always have options. And that also means that I often will turn down sponsorship opportunities that don't feel aligned. I will only bring you things that I know, I've used, and that I trust. And again, I will always provide you with various options. And the last part of that authenticity and trust too, I think, in the age of AI is understanding that I'm always going to be here as a real person. I'm not going to be an AI avatar that shows up here. That's never going to work. I'm never going to spam social media with a whole bunch of, AI created content that isn't actually helpful. We're really focused on creating actual things that help. And I think that that is one of our competitive advantages. Yes, it takes more of my time, absolutely. However, I think the quality is so much higher than what we get out of this world where everything is fake. So I want you to know, amidst all of the craziness and the changing technology, we're here, we're committed, I'm committed to being here as a human being right there with you. Okay. So that's what I stand for. Those are the things that I'll never do. And this was actually a really fun video to make. Now, if you've been on this channel for a while, hopefully none of this surprises you and it's all kind of in line with what you knew about me anyway. But if you're new, I wanted you to know right from the get-go who I am and what I believe. And every video, every product, every piece of content that I put out really stems back to that. Now, if this resonated and if you care about working with people that you feel aligned with, make sure to subscribe to this channel. I would love you to stick around and check out the other content that we have. Like I said, there's so much free content for you to start with before you even have to buy a single thing. Now, thanks for joining me on this somewhat of a different type of video today, but I hope you found it valuable. And I also hope it helps you think about the values and how you're living them out in your own business. Let me know your thoughts below, and I'll see you next time.